Welcome to Mastering Your Financial Life, hosted by Judy Heft, the founder and CEO of Judy Heft and Associates, Financial and Lifestyle Concierge. This year, she's celebrating 27 years in business. In every episode, Judy interviews professionals who help others successfully manage their financial lives. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. Judy is the author of 2 books, How to Be Smart, Successful, and Organized with Your Money for a Better Today and Tomorrow, and her latest book, Mastering Your Financial Life Cycles, How to Successfully Manage Money in Every Decade of Life. You can read chapters of her books and catch prior episodes of the show at www.judithheft.com. Now, here's the host of Mastering Your Financial Life, Judy Heft.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our 71st episode of Mastering Your Financial Life. I'm Judy Heft, Financial and Lifestyle Concierge, celebrating almost 30 years in business, and I'm very excited today. I'm here with Wendy Prince. Wendy is the founder and principal of the Prince Law Group. I've known Wendy for a long time, and she's been practicing for almost 25 years, so I might have known her that long. Definitely close to that. So it's great to have you as a guest, Wendy. So Wendy is a certified in collaborative divorce law, but her team, and they empower families through a non-adversarial divorce. So we're going to talk about that today because they do work on all different aspects of divorce. One thing about Wendy, I know that's really a great quality that she has for her clients. She's a great listener, and that's really important, especially when people are going through such a horrible time. It's, even if they want it, it's still, overwhelming, and it can be daunting. So it's great to have you here, Wendy, today. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
It's great. So, let's talk about some of those non-adversarial options. There's, I know collaborative is all the rage. What does that mean? What's mediation? What's the difference?
So divorce is specific to the state that you live in. So it doesn't matter where somebody's married. They can be married in California and reside in New York, and they're following the laws of the state they live in, such as if they live in New York, it'd be New York. Connecticut, it would be Connecticut. So when you get a divorce, a termination of the marriage, I call it, it's a court process. It's a summons and a complaint. It's a lawsuit. The process to get the divorce, there's several processes. One is just straight litigation. Both sides have a counsel. Counsel could be, difficult or not. They can be cooperative. They can be very adversarial. It really depends. Another process would be mediation, where the couple will come to one person. That person can be an attorney, a financial professional, a mental health professional, and they would go through the terms of their divorce. And if that mediator is not an attorney, they would send it to an attorney to get it finalized. So mediation is a process where both parties are meeting with a neutral. They're discussing options that they feel best suit them themselves, the division of their assets, any kind of support, any parenting plans. And it's up to that skilled mediator to take what they want and put it into a legal document that will be approved by the court.
Go ahead.
Another process is collaborative, and it is all the rage. I was recently in Toronto for the International Conference on Collaborative Professionals. I'm active in the New York Association for Collaborative Professionals. It's a wonderful group. I'm in the Westchester chapter. And that is a process where both clients will have their own lawyer. So you have that lawyer zealously representing you, but you meet in meetings all together along with a neutral financial professional and a neutral mental health professional to help the parties sort through the emotions of finance. I know you know a lot about that, and it's very emotional. And of course, any type of parenting is usually emotional.
So those are 2 different kinds of things. And I think when a client comes to you, they don't really know whether they want, collaborative or mediation or even litigation, if it goes to that. Hopefully they don't want litigation at the beginning because they want to be amicable, especially if there's children involved. It's a sticky situation. So when they come to you and they'll say, here I am, I'm ready to get this divorce, I can't live with this person anymore, I don't know what I want, I don't know how to begin. We're getting along, but there's always that underneath thing that might happen. How do you counsel them?
So there's a very gentle introduction to a divorce process when you're talking to the client who is the one moving forward, the moving party. And I do a lot of this, I call it high-end consulting, where I could be meeting with the client for a year until they get their spouse on board in a gentle way because they care about their spouse. They might have adult children together. They want to participate in the weddings, the grandchildren, as you and I know, as grandparents. And it's important for that client to gently get their spouse on board. And I do have these sort of situations. Most people come in, if they're the moving party, they do want to do something non-adversarial, but it takes two to tango. So the other side has to also want that as well. There's a lot of psychological things that go along with a divorce. Sometimes in long-term marriages, a spouse will walk in and say, the marriage has been gone for like 10 or 15 years. I'm in another relationship. My spouse should be happy for me. And I'm like, your spouse wants you to go live in the South Bronx. They don't want to be happy for you. They want you to be tortured. Not the South Bronx is very nice. I shouldn't say that anymore, but they're not happy for their spouse. So it often takes that mental health professional to guide that client to be even more gentle with their spouse because their spouse is not the moving party. Family law is an oxymoron. You expect to be with this person for the rest of your life, and now you're not. And it does take an adjustment for each party.
That's so true. And I think, so what happens? So they say, okay, they both agree we're going to do this collaborative thing. I love that you have a mental health professional. I had no idea about that. I knew you have financial professionals involved, but I didn't know about the mental health piece. And that's so important because it's so emotional. So then what happens? So they get this collaborative, they have this idea, they want to do collaborative because of course it's probably also not only calmer, but it's less expensive than going to court and being represented. So what happens if you have to get to that stage and go into the court system?
So collaborative law is not inexpensive. Remember, you're in one meeting, you're paying 4 professionals, 2 attorneys, mental health, financial. Mental health will not take insurance for that sort of meeting. That usually it's not covered. So it is pricey. It's still a good financial alternative to heavy litigation where clients can spend over $100,000 on their cases. And some people spend that money and it's for good reason and they're getting good results and they're happy with it. But for people who want to be financially economically efficient, they might want to choose the mediation route where there's only one professional and possibly 2 review attorneys at the end just to review the agreement to make sure that the clients have gotten the education to enter into the agreement. But getting back to the collaborative process, once you're in that process, there's one major provision of that contract. If either party feels they need to go to court, they have to terminate the collaborative process. They can no longer work with those attorneys. And they'll need to hire litigation counsel. Mm-hmm. So it takes the collaborative practitioner a while to get used to that concept. You have to buy into that concept. And you have to adhere to that concept. That's very important. And it's not that the client will lose all that work product. They certainly can take their net worth statement, to their new attorney and any documents, financial production they have received, and the conversations and any agreements that they have reached at that point. But a collaborative practitioner cannot go to court and litigate. And that's the impetus to keep the clients in that collaborative process. You want to keep your attorney, you got to work it out within this process and not run to court and have a judge make an order on a situation that the judge has no history about, what's best for your children, is going to mom, splitting parenting time, equally, or giving more time to mom or midweek time to dad. Like, this is something that parents really know best.
That's really interesting. So what percentage of the cases that you work on collaboratively are settled collaboratively?
Most of them.
Most of them.
Yeah.
That's great.
100% for me. So
excellent. That says a lot about your skill.
Well, I'm not doing it that long. I'm doing it probably about 5 years. Mediation, I'm doing about 25 years. And some of those cases did not work out, and they did go to litigation.
And so how do you feel about that? Do you ever do mediation with clients?
I'll tell you something. I recently saw a mediation couple at a restaurant in Stamford with their children. And she came over to me to say hello. I went over to the table. I said hello to both of them. I was introduced to the children. It definitely made me feel really good that they still respected me enough to want to say hello to me, even though they ended their case in litigation. So it was nice.
That's great. And then they're still friendly if they're together and with their children. That's wonderful.
Absolutely. So I hope that our work together at least taught them to co-parent and gave them that language and taught them to be respectful to each other and have dignity. Because I tell people the recipe for healthy children is treat your spouse with respect and dignity. That's all it is. If you don't want your children harmed or scarred by this process, you got to keep that spouse in the best light possible. It is hard work, but they got to do it.
It is. It's really hard because especially if you're really angry with your ex-spouse, you just want to badmouth them, but do it to a friend or your therapist. Don't do it with your children.
Exactly. And I do it. My initial meeting with clients, I want to know, who's your support system? Who are you talking to? And I write a note. So when I'm working with that client, I'll exactly say, call your sister, have your sister join this meeting. That's your support system. I need someone who you can bounce this off of so you can talk to that person. And if you still have any questions, come back to me. I'll certainly happy to guide you, but you need to use your support system when you're in a time of crisis. And a divorce is a crisis time for people.
Absolutely. It's so interesting. So I have one of my daughters is recently divorced. I think it's almost 2 years now. And I'm just so proud of her and her ex-husband because they're best friends. They couldn't live together. The kids were crying a lot, were unhappy. I saw it. And you know what? It's just amazing the way they do everything together as a family. And they live right near each other. They're 5 blocks away here in the city from each other. And they just really help each other. If one needs to do something on a day that they were supposed to have, they switch around if they can. And they're just so loving and kind to each other. It's just amazing to me. I'm really proud of them for doing that. And it's not easy. I know I wasn't as kind to my ex. My children were older, thank goodness. But, you get in that angry state and you got to remember who to take it out on and who to vent to.
Yes. And it sounds like your daughter and son-in-law, ex-son-in-law, however, or the father of your grandchildren, they learned how to reorganize in a way that suited them. So sometimes I tell people, pretend you're living in a castle and you're in the West Wing and they're in the East Wing. And the kids are kind of in the middle and they shuffle back and forth. So just reorganize in a way that works for everybody.
That's great. That's a great example of great. I like that, reorganize. It's a good term. So let's take a little break here now, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk some more. I'm here with Wendy Prince. Wendy is the founder and CEO of the Prince Law Group.
Hey there. I just want to tell you a little bit about my new book that just came out called Mastering Your Financial Life Cycles. And here it is. It's how to successfully manage your money in every decade of life. I co-authored this with my CFO, Liz Levy. And together we created this manual that's going to help you through every stage of life. We talk about having a baby. We talk about young adulthood, pre-retirement, what to do when you're at that age of retirement. If you're contemplating divorce, do you need an estate plan? We cover all of these, each subject in a different chapter. And I really think that you're going to find this so helpful because at the end of every chapter, we have checklists that you can look at and you can use, and they can be a guide for you. So this is a wonderful manual that we've created. It's available on Amazon. You can also find it on our website at judithheft.com/book. And we're here for you. If you need anything, reach out. I hope you enjoy the book. Here's another picture of it, just so you know what's going on. Here it is. And I'm really proud of it. It's my second book. And I'd love to have you read it and give me your feedback. Judy Heft, judithheft.com, financial and lifestyle concierge, celebrating 26 years in business. And over the years, I've learned so much. And what I've been trying to do is impart a little bit of this knowledge to you so I can help all of you become as financially organized as I am.
And we're back here. We're back here with Wendy Prince, founder and CEO, managing partner. She's got a lot of little titles there of the Prince Law Group. So, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, because you are admitted in New York and Connecticut, is that correct?
Yes.
So I want to know, so how is it different? Are the asset divisions different? How does that work in different states? I know that I think one state calls it a statement of net worth. One is a financial affidavit. And, I use slash in there when I talk about them.
Yes, sure. So in Connecticut, every divorcing couple must submit a financial affidavit to the court. And that would be their income, their budget, their assets and liabilities. And basically the court wants to know, can this person support themselves? Are they going to go on state welfare? And if they are, let's see if the other person has any funds to support them, and we're going to make an order of support. In New York, the net worth statements are not always used in divorce. If you have an uncontested divorce, you don't submit a net worth statement to the court, which is similar to a Connecticut financial affidavit. But within the New York agreements, you'll see numbers and you'll see child support and alimony if there is. So the agreements look very different. A New York agreement could be 50 pages. A Connecticut agreement could be 12 pages.
Yeah, we do a lot of those statement of net worth financial affidavits for different clients, when they go in, because so many people don't have a clue what they're spending their money on. And money is so emotional. It's much more than dollars and cents. And it's really important to look back and see, what are these expenses that I'm going to need to replace? Because I think the myth is, I'm going to get divorced and it's going to cost me half as much. Wrong answer. You're going to be having 2 homes to pay for, 2 rents, 2 mortgages, 2 utilities, 2 cars, 2 everything. And so it's really overwhelming sometimes. And, like I said, most people don't really have a clue what they're spending their money on. We help with a lot of that.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you and I can kind of banter common things people forget, such as credit card membership fees, holiday gifts, when they last painted their house, and that would be all part of their budget.
Right. People don't think about those things. It's true.
Vitamins.
So there's a little bit of forensic bookkeeping that has to go into that. We dig deep.
Absolutely. And you want to include it all.
Right. And you asked me when was the last time I painted my house. I'm thinking, well, I don't know. Maybe it was 2 years ago. Maybe it was 3. You know what? I'm thinking maybe it was even 4. Some people like myself, I don't think about those things. I forget. Because it's not important. I did it and now it's done. I don't have to think about it for a little while until it's starting to look dirty again. But it's interesting how people don't pay attention to different financial
Exactly.
expenses.
So we might say, hey, you do this every 5 years. Let's take the amount you spent and allocate it over 5 years and see what the monthly budget for this sort of thing is.
Oh, that's so important.
Like appliance repair, tires for your car, the vacation that you usually take, maybe if you take it every 2 years. So we do include, and we do the forensic accounting to see if they've missed anything. And it's almost like a lifestyle. What do you do when you wake up? I go to the gym, I take vitamins, gym clothes, gym membership, like all of that.
There's so much to think about.
Yeah.
It's good to have someone like you on their side. This is great. So, you've been a divorce matrimonial family attorney. They keep changing the name of it for almost 25 years or over 25 years. So what do you think makes a good marriage, or what doesn't work? You've seen so much.
I have, and we write a lot of prenuptial agreements, and for young people too. And it's interesting because I think it's a great idea for people. It basically segregates premarital assets. And then once the couple is married, any asset that is a result of their work would be shared equally. So if someone's contributing to a 401k, those continued contributions, company match while they're married. If the marriage should terminate, they would be sharing that. So having a prenuptial agreement, I think, sets a financial stage for the beginning of a marriage. If one person should lose their job, or go on disability because they're on maternity leave or paternity leave and they're making less income, they kind of have a roadmap on how to manage their expenses, what's joint, and how they pay for things. And I think financial knowledge for young married people or married people are really important, because the things that end marriages are financial secrets.
That's so true. And when I got married, my sister said to me, "You're probably only going to fight about money and the kids." And I was like, no way. We're a couple of hippies. We don't care about that stuff. Well, that's what we fought about. That's inevitably what ended the marriage, the money, financial piece of it. It was just too hard to talk about it. And we just never were on the same page. And we weren't friends. I think you have to be friends. I say that a lot.
Yes, people talk about a U. At the beginning, it's really up, and then as the marriage goes on, it dips down, and then it can go up again. And I recently spoke to a physician friend, and I said, she's in a second marriage, actually a third marriage. And I said, "What's making it work?" And she said, "Well, you do continuing education as an attorney. I do continuing education as a physician. My husband and I do continuing education as a couple." We participate in these weekend retreats where we are forced to hold hands, look at each other and say what we're happy about, what we're not happy about. And she said, "Sometimes I want to run and quit, and I don't, and I'm committed to it." So stay committed to it. Or my parents are married 65 years, and they still see each other as if she was 15 and he's 18.
I love
and when
that.
you can look at each other like that, it works.
It's so true. Mm-hmm. I had a high school boyfriend like that, and I got back together with him after my divorce. I know, and he looked at me and he saw this 16-year-old, and it was great. There were too many other issues, though, but that part of it was fun. I loved it. I loved being thought of as a teenager again. So this was great. So thank you so much, Wendy. I love talking to you. I think our listeners are going to learn a lot. I know I did from this conversation. Where can they find you?
They could find me at Prince Law Group. We have 2 locations, one in Stamford, Connecticut, and one in White Plains, New York. And we're 5 attorneys. We have a full support staff, and we do everything matrimonial, prenups, postnup, divorce, post-judgment modifications.
Well, that's great. And I'm sure that you're on LinkedIn. They find you there?
Yes.
Great. And your contact information is on your website too, I assume.
Yes, it is. And I'm very available, and education is power. Happy to talk to anybody who needs any information, whether they hire me or not. Happy to spread the good word about reorganizing, treating each other with respect and dignity, and creating a harmony for your post-divorce life.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Wendy.
My pleasure.
Thank you for tuning into Mastering Your Financial Life, hosted by Judy Heft. You can read chapters of her books and catch prior episodes of the show at www.judithheft.com. Thank you for your positive comments and sharing this show with others.